Wow, look at that picture. From the top of the rock, some low clouds, eerie, floating through Manhattan right now. And an ugly scene last night in Major League Baseball in Detroit. You feel terrible for the kid who lost his perfect game, and now we're starting to feel terrible for the ump who's having a meltdown as we speak right now. Here it is. This should have been a perfect game last night. That's the man right there, Armando Galarraga. Detroit Tigers looking good, getting a little luck in his perfect game. The ball hits off the mound here in the fifth inning, deflects to the third baseman, gets the easy out, starting to look like it might be his night. Now this is the ninth inning. A deep drive, center fielder Austin Jackson still has the perfect game. Look at that over-the-shoulder catch. Keeps the perfect game alive. Now it's just a matter of getting a couple more outs. This is destiny. This is fate. What a catch. Here it is now, 26 up, 26 down. This should be the last out of the game. A weak ground ball. Cabrera, the first baseman, fields, throws to Galarraga. Celebration, right? Perfect game? No. Jim Joyce calls Jason Donald of Cleveland safe at first base. Galarraga cannot believe his eyes. Neither can Cabrera. A big argument ensues. There have only been 20 perfect games in the history of Major League Baseball. 20 in the long history of the game. This should have been the 21st. That should have been the last out. They called him safe, as you can see in those replays. Galarraga then officially retires Trevor Crowe on a ground ball to third for a one-hit shutout, not a no-hitter. And watch this. Tigers catcher Gerald Laird and Jim Leyland, the manager, get after Jim Joyce, getting in his face. Joyce knows almost instantly that he blew this one. He's got no argument back. Galarraga, to his credit, did not scream at the umpire. But as you'll see, Jim Joyce saying after the game he blew it. He was reduced to tears. He sought out Galarraga, gave him a big hug and apologized, said it was the worst moment of his career. Here's umpire Jim Joyce on the radio show after the game.
This isn't a call. This is a history call. And I kicked the shit out of it. And there's nobody that feels worse than I do. I take pride in this job, and I kicked the shit out of that, and I took a perfect game away from that kid over there that worked his ass off all night.
That kind of stuff doesn't happen every day. They really don't happen anyway. And I know we're human. He probably feel bad right now because he's going to watch the replays. But how am I going to feel?
You're already hearing calls for more instant replay now in baseball. A lot of people want MLB Commissioner Bud Selig to watch the tape, reverse the call, give the kid a perfect game. Yes. No. There's a human element in baseball. Should he reverse it? There's still going to be an asterisk next to him. You can't take away that moment he should have had last night. Again, as you heard, though, the umpire, Jim Joyce, absolutely devastated. They said he was pacing around in his underwear, looked like he was lost. So, unbelievable story. We'll be talking about this more this morning. Tuesday, number one seed Roger Federer lost in the quarterfinals. Now the number one seed on the women's side is out, too. Serena Williams losing in her quarters match to Samantha Stosur. The top seed Williams got more than she could handle from the Aussie. She's done now after losing in 3 sets. And Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Finals last night. Flyers and Blackhawks pick it up in the third. Philly was down 1, tied up, and we go to overtime. 6 minutes into OT. Flyers needed this one. Claude Giroux ends it with an incredible deflection coming up right here for the game winner. Flyers win. They are back in the series. They win 4-3 in overtime. Chicago now leads the Stanley Cup Finals 2-1, Game 4 in Philly. Let's turn to some sports now. The first round of the NFL Draft was held last night right across the street here at Radio City Music Hall. The first pick was no surprise.
With the first pick in the 2010 NFL Draft, the St. Louis Rams select Sam Bradford, quarterback, Oklahoma.
Sam Bradford going to St. Louis. Have fun there, buddy. The Oklahoma junior is the 8th quarterback taken overall, number 1 overall since 2001. He's also the first Sooner selected number 1 since 1980. The second pick went to the Lions. They took who some people thought was the best player in the draft, Ndamukong Suh of Nebraska. He was the AP Player of the Year. Going third and fourth were a couple of Oklahoma teammates of Sam Bradford. Dominating the top 5 was the Big 12, and then the 5th pick overall went to Eric Berry, the great safety out of Tennessee. Big headline from the draft, though. Tim Tebow. A lot of people thought he might slide to the second round. A lot of teams not knowing quite what to do with him. They only did the first round last night, and Tim Tebow was taken by the Denver Broncos. Tim Tebow going to Denver. He was taken 25th overall. They already have Kyle Orton, who had a pretty good year last year, and traded this year to get Brady Quinn from Cleveland. Now they've got a third quarterback in the Heisman Trophy winner, Tim Tebow. By the way, we should point out he was taken ahead of Notre Dame's Jimmy Clausen. Jimmy Clausen was seen by a lot of people as maybe even a top 10 pick, not chosen in the first round. He'll have to wait till today. But again, Tim Tebow going to Denver. How about some NBA playoffs last night? Cavs looking to just wipe out the Bulls last night. They're already up 2-0 in the series. They had a chance here to win the game. Luol Deng misses the free throw. This is Anthony Parker grabbing the rebound, a shot to win. Comes up shy. The Bulls survive for another night. They win 108-106. LeBron did have 39, 10, and 8 assists. Cleveland, though, leads the series still 2-1. Great play from baseball. We got to show you this. I know you say we show the Yankees every day, but come on, they turned a triple play. A-Rod steps on third, fires to second to Cano. Over to first base for the 5-4-3 triple play. The first triple play by the Yankees in 42 years. One swing, 3 outs. The A's did win the game, though, 4-2. And how about this? The Milwaukee Brewers just put a whooping on Pittsburgh yesterday. They scored 20 runs on 25 hits against Pittsburgh. 20 runs on 25 hits. Looks like it might be another long season for the old Buccos in Pittsburgh. By the way, Pirates didn't score in the game. 20-0, the final score. The Brewers beating Pittsburgh. Let's turn to some sports. You went to bed early last night if you're up right now, so maybe you missed the end of Manning Bowl 2. Brothers Peyton and Eli Manning going head-to-head on the NBC Sunday night game. Colts hosting the Giants, but you really could have gone to bed at halftime, quite honestly. Eli and Peyton warming up before the game, getting ready to face off. Just the second time in their careers, and there are their parents, Archie and Olivia Manning, watching from up in the box. In the second quarter, Peyton looking up top for one of his guys, Dallas Clark, shredding the Giants secondary. Over-the-shoulder catch, 50 yards for a touchdown, 14-0 Colts there. Here in the third quarter, Giants on their own 16. Oh, dear. Dwight Freeney rushes in, strips Eli from behind. The loose ball recovered in the end zone for the touchdown. Indy beats up on the Giants. 38-14 was the final. Peyton now 2-0 against his little brother, Eli. By the way, Giants running back Brandon Jacobs apologizing for an incident in the third quarter where reportedly he threw his helmet into the stands. Jacobs said he did not do it on purpose, said he was throwing it in frustration and it sailed on him a little bit. Really? Those things are pretty heavy. Colts fan who caught it refused to give it back for several minutes, but finally surrendered it. Jacobs has not been happy with his playing time and his carries with the Giants, so giving somebody a souvenir that they had taken away. Jets, the other New York team, looking for their first win, hosting the Patriots. Second quarter, watch this catch. This is Randy Moss. He can still do it. From Tom Brady, hauling in the 34-yard touchdown pass with one hand. That's Darrelle Revis on the coverage, who left the game with a hamstring injury. Third quarter, 14-7 Pats. Mark Sanchez fighting the Jets back. A 2-yard touchdown to Jericho Cotchery. Jets would later increase their lead to 21-14. And then in the fourth, Sanchez putting it away. A 1-yard TD to Dustin Keller. Jets get a win. They've taken a lot of heat in this town, losing their first game, but a big win over the Patriots in a game my wife said had the 2 combined hottest quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. Miami and Minnesota, third quarter. Brett Favre drops back into his own end zone. He had a terrible day. Gets hit from behind. The ball comes loose. The Dolphins jump on it for the touchdown. Puts them up 14-0. This game in Minnesota. Vikings falling to 0-2. They were down less than 2.5 left in the game. This was on fourth down. A touchdown gives them the lead. They are stopped. Adrian Peterson stuffed. A big stand for the Dolphins. Minnesota now 0-2. Cowboys hosting the Bears. Speaking of 0-2 for the Cowboys, second quarter, Bears down 4. Jay Cutler of the Vanderbilt University goes up to Devin Hester, makes a great one-handed grab for a touchdown. They reviewed it. It stood. 17-14 Bears. Bears put it away in the fourth quarter. Cutler to Matt Forte. Bears win 27-17. Cowboys 0-2 now for the first time since 2001. The Bears are 2-0. Michael Vick got the start for the Eagles, taking on the Lions in Detroit. He looked good. They almost gave it away, but he looked good. 13 seconds left in the first half. Vic throws a bullet to Jeremy Macklin, a 9-yard pass. 21-17 Eagles. Philly holds on for a 35-32 win. A wild one in Washington. Texans and Skins. Game was tied at 27 in overtime. The Redskins had a big lead. Watch this. Redskins appear in overtime to drill a game-winning 52-yard field goal. But how many times have we seen this lately? Texans coach Gary Kubiak calls timeout just before the snap, so they line up to do it again. Let's see how he does on the second try. Lines it up and pushes it to the right. Texans later drive the field, set up a game-winning field goal for Neil Racker as he drills a 35-yarder. Texans steal one, 30-27 over the Redskins, coming back from a 17-point deficit. So turn to some sports now. We almost had that perfect game last week. Now we almost had a no-hitter from the Philadelphia Phillies, Cole Hamels, but it all came crashing down in the 7th inning. He was cruising. Nobody could touch him until in the 7th. The Padres' Adrian Gonzalez breaks up the no-hitter with a solo home run to left field. That's his 12th dinger of the year. San Diego is up 1-0. And then the very next batter off Hamels, Scott Harrison, goes deep, back-to-back. So you go from a no-hitter to being down 2-0. Hamels gave up only 3 hits in the game. 2 of them, though, were those home runs. Padres beat Hamels and the Phillies 3-1. Well, it's been quite a year for Philadelphia Phillies fans already, and it's only early June. The internet is very excited about this video that appears to show a small Phillies fan pounding a beer in the stands at the game on Sunday against the Phillies, against the Padres at Citizens Bank Park. Other Phillies fans, of course, have been in the news, not just the toddlers pounding beers. Remember this fella running around the field? Got himself a little bit of a taser there, trying to elude security officers. There it is, the head first slide off the taser. And then how about this one from back in April? A 21-year-old New Jersey man, this is a Phillies fan, admitted to vomiting on an off-duty police captain and his 11-year-old daughter in the stands during a baseball game because he was upset over something that was happening in the game. Finally, the Super Bowl champion New Orleans Saints heading down to the Gulf area today to visit areas affected by the oil spill. The Saints initially planned to attend a lunch at the governor's mansion in Baton Rouge, but Bobby Jindal and the team decided it'd be better to meet down at the site that's suffering worse from the oil. Coach Sean Payton says he expects the Saints will bring along that Super Bowl trophy and hopes that players can just provide a little moral support to the folks down along the Gulf Coast there.